Okay, I will start my graduation thesis presentation. I wrote a thesis called Heel in Realistic Fantasies, Comparison Between Reality Show and Pro Wrestling. I wrote a thesis about this topic, but I also filmed about a student who works as a heel in University Pro Wrestling Club, so I hope you enjoy this film too. Okay, I'll talk about the purpose of the graduation thesis. In the thesis, I did a comparison in two realistic fantasies, in pro wrestling and reality shows. And the keyword is called heel. Do you know what heel means? Okay, so I would like to explain what is heel. It's a word means a wrestler intensely disliked by the fans in the wrestling jargon, but the idea of heel and word itself is often used in various realistic fantasies. Of course, like movies or dramas or every kind of like realistic fantasies or medias. And most of our realistic fantasies are made by the contrast of heel and babyface. Well, do you know what is babyface? In wrestling jargon, it means a wrestler intensely liked by the fans. It has an opposite meaning between heels. So the contrast between heel and babyface is the main point of various kind of realistic fantasies. And stories are based on the idea of angle. And this angle means a human stories. So wrestling and reality shows like progress the stories and the idea of angle. Okay, so the reason for choosing this theme is a death of a popular wrestler. In 2020, there is a woman who committed a suicide, and her name is Hana Kirimura. And she was a professional female wrestler at Japan, and she has a high popularity. And she acted heel roles in wrestling and reality shows. Terrace House. You know the program? But after she joined the Terrace House, she committed a suicide by getting slanders from the audience of her reality shows. Okay, so let's talk about what points were different in pro wrestling and reality shows. Okay, I will explain about the structure of the pro wrestling itself. The story between humans in pro wrestling is called angle, and the story progress based on it. Of course, there is a match in a pro wrestling, but also most of the match is caused by the angle. And the existence of angle was revealed during the listing of WWE, the world's largest pro wrestling organization. Well, the existence of angle was kind of like sensation for all wrestling fans, because even long-term fans knows about the angle. They didn't want to believe that, but WWE, and there is a film called Beyond the Mat, and that film shows the process of existence of the angle. And also there is one referee in Japan called Mr. Takahashi, and he revealed about the angle in his books, and that also made a sensation. And many fans of pro wrestling worry about the getting lower popularity of pro wrestling, but it still has high popularity as entertainment, as reality fantasies. And in pro wrestling, the contrast of babyface and heel is the main topic. Well, heel wrestler represents his heelness with his costumes or like fighting styles, every kind of like performance or presentation. So it is easy for an audience to understand which wrestler is working as a heel or which wrestler is working as babyface. It's really easy for like short-term audience to judge which is heel, which is babyface. And wrestlers get evaluated on accuracy of the match called books. So that's where wrestlers get evaluated and make the audience feel the reality. And the audience feel the reality from the books and try to feel the realities from it and started to pick favorite wrestlers and get into the pro wrestling itself. And the existence of referee is one of the huge characteristic in pro wrestling. Well, there is a complex rule in pro wrestling, but referee has full authority over the rules. And most of our wrestling has only one referee in one matches. And the referee stands in a ring alone to fulfill the role of judging the game and expressing the rule itself as a referee to complete a role as the third party justice. And also, there is a freedom for audience to judging right or wrong, or likes or dislikes in pro wrestling. Well, the audience have some freedom to choice to support between heels and babyface. In the reality shows, if the producers or creator judge the actors as heel, it is difficult to get high popularity because the actors would express in the heel. But in pro wrestling, it has freedom to choose to support between heels and babyface. It is because the wrestlers get evaluated from the books, from the match of the quality, not the angle, not the storyline. And even the wrestlers who did heel and get hit in an angle, or who did a role in heel as an angle, or sometimes in real life, or kind of scandals. But even it's common to get popularity by the encouraging of books. So, personality itself and popularity sometimes do not equal and wrestlings. And the books is the point where wrestlers get evaluated. So that's the reality of match. That's where pro wrestling shows realities. Okay, so let's see the reality in reality shows. Most of our reality shows is described as a concept of non-script, and that made the show more realistic. So it's easy to guess from the camera works that there is a script or books in those processes. So I think it's impossible to make those kind of high quality reality shows without any books or angles. So I think that's the two biggest different characteristics of the reality shows and pro wrestling. Disclose elements of the stories like angles, books, or referees, and it's completely different at what points the audience evaluate actors or wrestlers. Okay, so let's see the effects of heel-like behaviors in reality shows. In reality shows, there is a concept that there is non-script. So the viewers directly link the actions taken by the actors in the program with the human natures of the actors. And it's easy to recognize and evaluate them as who they are in real lives. But this cases only fits on only actors who played the heel roles and face the risk of acting like a heel, and creators do not own any responsibility. Okay, let's see the problems in a Terrace House series. Well, the series have a lot of popularity and almost young ages, and after the series succeeded, the actors started to succeed in the entertainment industry and having strong core fans or getting popularity. And the spread of SNS will be also made a success of the series and also made a closer distance between the actors and audiences. So audiences judge the actors by the acts during the shows. So it is easy to get huge core fans, long-term fans by any acts and any positive acts during the shows. But it also has a possibility of losing popularity or getting slanders by the acts during the shows. And it is easy for the producer to like make specific performer as a heel and deliver it to audiences. And the actors can easily endanger the performer because they just have to follow the producers. And let's see the case of Hana Kimura. There's a configuration that third-party entertainers who saw the show footage and commented on their views. And all entertainers who watched the footage showed an attitude against her act. And nobody tried to understand her act in the show. Also, the entertainment slanders her with kind of like jokes, but nobody shows an attitude to try to understand her act. And that became the trigger to have caused her to like stir up the viewers' hate her more. And after the series, that she started to having a lot of slanders before. So we look each balance of like triangular media structure. In a pro wrestling scene, the subject or like actor wrestlers and filmmaker creators, like in the wrestling scenes, it means like who writes a book or create book creators and the audience. And that balance had a good balance, so it doesn't have a possibility of causing kind of like a lot of slanders. But in reality shows, like actors' own possibility or like of facing slanders, and filmmakers do not touch any responsibility and try to take responsibility of protecting actors. So, audience is easy to make the slanders to the actors by using the SNS. So, in reality shows, those triangle structure, it doesn't work or unbalanced. So I think we have to think as a problems. Is there any way for reality shows to be established with maintaining the constants of content with protecting the actors? Well, I think the third-party justice is important in this topic. As I mentioned, there is an existence called referee in pro wrestling, and the referee owns all rules and judging the right or wrong in the matches. So I think this kind of third-party justice who doesn't like rely to the producers or production side is necessary to protect the actors. So if we put in a Hana Kimura's case, if there is only one entertainer who tried to understand her act in the shows, in the videos, I think the result will change by that. And I think including kind of like factitious or fact is necessary to the reality shows too. Like for example, it is possible to take measures such as like airing the scene of interaction between actors behind the scenes and endings, or like showing that kind of like scenes as a like commercial side or something like that. So the concept of non-script made the audience to like having a slanders or like making slanders more easily. So this kind of like including the factitious is important for the reality shows. And also, I think revealing the existence of books is important too. There is a concept with non-script, and that made every kind of problems. So I think you have to like reveal the existence of books to protect the actors. And there's another problems in the content production and the law for dimension. So as I said, we have to think of solving the unbalanced triangular balance of the media triangle balance of the reality shows. And also, it is also necessary to tighten the punishment for the slander itself. For the cases of Hana Kimura, there's a man who was arrested by the slander, but before his guilty, he only paid 9,000 yen. And the maximum fee for the crime is about only 10,000 yen. He committed the murder with his words of SNS or slanders, but he only paid 9,000 yen. So they're considering the possibility that such cases will occur in the future. I think it's necessary to develop the law itself to deal with such of slanders. And also, I think there's a responsibility in the side of audience and consumer. We face a lot of kind of entertainments and realistic fantasies, but I think we have to keep the risk that actors who play the heel role in the realistic fantasy, and that actors always face in having the slanders. And we have to understand the content is a realistic fantasy by media literacy. So we have to keep in mind and consume the programs. The case of Hana Kimura made the pro wrestling fans sad and disappointed about they committed a suicide. But it also made us to think about what kind of media literacy that we have to hold as consumer, as audience reality shows, and give a chance to think about the differences between pro wrestling and reality shows.
やっぱり今なんていうかリアルタイムなことですし、メディアの発展にまだやっぱり法律であったり、そういうテレビ業界のそのサイドとか追いついてない部分があると思うので、それを言葉として自分の中で実感できたっていうのはすごく大きいことですし、これからそのメディアは発信する側じゃなくて受け取る側にしても、やっぱり生活の中で批准が大きくなっていくと思うので、その点に関してこれからの問題提起をできたんじゃないかなと思っています。本当に神戸女学院に来て、その英文科の勉強もちろんすごく学びが多かったんですけれども、他の学科の勉強もその同じ学費の中で同じその単位として実際に勉強できて、なおかついろんな学びを得ることができたっていうのは、すごく自分の中でかけがえのないものになったんじゃないかなと思います。これからいろんなものがいろんな可能性の広がりを見せてって、多分いろんなジャンルでつながっていくと思うので、それに向けていろんな勉強の点で、そういういろんなジャンルの重なりっていうのを実感して身につけることができて、本当にかけがえのない4年間だったと思います。マイナープログラムでは音楽学科の声楽を受講しまして、そこでそれこそクラシックの歌の技法であったり、音楽の歴史とか、そういう音楽の理論を学んだんですけれども、今までずっと英語で表現するっていうことは日常的にやっていたんですけれども、それをイタリア語で歌って、で、そのイタリアの文化をきちんと理解しながら、言葉もそうですし、その歌の至る表現についても先生にすごく熱心に教えていただいて、英語のみならず他のいろんな言語での表現であったり、その芸術性に対してのその姿勢っていうところも、同じこの神戸にいながらいろんなその国の文化っていうのを自分の肌で感じ取ることができたので、すごくいい経験になったと思います。昨年の8月、2021年の8月に、6代目桂文枝師匠のもとに弟子入りさせていただきまして、今そこで修行中なんですけれども、この修行中も大学に通わせていただいて勉強したことだけでなくて、これからその人生で得たことっていうのを、大学でどういうふうにそれを実際、その学問として発展させていったので、そのやり方っていうのをもっと落語にも活かして、自分のまだ知らない部分のその可能性っていうのをどんどん広げられたらいいなと思っています。